We are at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we come towards the end of Porsche Carrera Cup North America. We're in the clutch part of the season where every point counts, and race 1 of 2 today is no different. Downtown, 15-20 minutes away from this iconic racing venue where we have seen such great Porsche battles in the past. Of course, this is the venue for the Porsche Sports Car Together Festival that we've had for a few years as well. 14 corners, just under 2.5 miles. We go the wrong way down the start-finish straight of the oval, cut through what we make as turn 1. There's a little cut through down there, and then onto what I call the infield straight, Tillman Boulevard in reality. A little bit of a twiddly bit before we go back on the exit of turn 2 and go back down the short chute to turn 1. Yeah, it's very odd if you watch the oval racing round here. The lap finishes off with the 12 and 13 chicane and into a very quick 14th corner, a right-hander onto the start-finish straight. Hello everybody, I'm John Hindhaugh in the Global Broadcast Centre for IMSA. Shea Adam is alongside me, and it's time to take a quick look at a stacked grid. 30 entries for this weekend's event, and Shea Adam has the runners and riders.
Should have been starting in the 30th position today. Angel Benitez will not be taking part in race number 1, but he will be back for race number 2 tomorrow. And Stanislav Zminski, going to make his series debut this weekend, has elected not to participate in today's race. So, 28th on the grid, Javier Ripoll for Momentum FMS Motorsport. Alongside him, John Getz for Kelly Moss. Another Kelly Moss runner and rider in the 26th position is Todd Perriott, and he has Richard Edge for company on that row. One further up on the 12th row, it's Scott Blind alongside Jeff Mosing in the 23rd and 24th spots respectively. Then come the front row of the Masters class. Remember, all of these categories set by age. In Masters, you're the guys with the most experience. Well, it's Chris Belomo who managed to sneak away the 2 bonus points for the pole position and sneak ever closer to his championship rival, Matt Halcomb. Those two alongside each other in 21st and 20th. 19th on the grid is Pedro Torres with Marco Cironi alongside. Now, Marco is the championship leader in the Pro-Am category. He is 6th in the category on the grid, though. We find Madeline Stewart in the 18th position alongside Efren Castro in the Kelly Moss Porsche in 17th. He's in car number 65. Keep an eye on him. Efren is always quick when we come here. It's Jordan Wallace and Moisey Uretsky making up the 8th row, and then we find our Pro-Am pole sitter. That is 2-time series champion Alan Metney, again sneaking closer in the championship battle after qualifying. 13th is the first of our pro cars. That is Jake Pedersen. He has Sabra Cook, a local hero as far as the recent times have gone. Sabra starting in the 12th position. Eve Baltus starting 11th and just outside the top 10. We've got Elias De La Torre in 10th, Zach Vanier for JDX. Again, JDX making up that 5th row of the grid. Zach is 9th. We've got Michael McCann in 8th position. He switched teams. He's with Kelly Moss once again this weekend. Alongside him, Colin Kaminsky for company starting 7th. 6th on the grid is Michael Cooper in that Baby Bowl racing car, the pink and white one. We always need to watch that car. And with him, it's Speedy Dan Clark. Both of the drivers on the 3rd row looking for their first wins of the season. Alex Sedgwick, 2nd in the championship coming into today's race, starts 4th and has Ryan Yardley in the 3rd position to keep him honest through this start. But the front row of the grid, it's Jimmy Lieber, who's had so much speed throughout the course of this year, car number 2, and with him, championship leader Luke Hartog for Kelly Moss in the 24.
Luke Hartog coming off a win in the inaugural Michelin 992 Endurance Cup powered by Porsche Motorsport at Spa a couple of weekends ago. That was such a brilliant event. 88 Fahrenheit in the air. It's around about just on 30 Celsius. Track temperature 111 Fahrenheit, that's 44 Celsius. The sun has come back out after some overcast this morning. So we are ready to go racing. There are 40 minutes on the clock. There are 28 cars on the track, split into 3 classes. Luke Hartog in the white and green car on the right-hand side of the start-finish line. as Jimmy Liebler alongside great qualifying from Jimmy. Shea Adam and Jeremy Hindorf. I've just renamed myself. Shea Adam and John Hindorf ready to take you through this in the front row. We're very close together. There's almost a touch there. As we cross the line, the countdown clock starts, and Luke Hartog immediately dives to his right, trying to stay away from Liebler in the red, white and blue cars. They head down towards the first corner. Let's see if anybody overshoots and goes through the cutout. No, at the moment they've all got through. Luke Hartog has converted that pole position into the lead. Nicely done by everybody. Through into third. That looked like Alex Sedgwick in the JTX Autosport PT car. In the red and white machine, he might have just sneaked through there as well. Yep, that is absolutely the case. Well done to him in the number 98. The black and gold car is the 78 of Ryan Yardley. Behind that, the 88 is the pink-fronted Baby Bull Racing along Holman Boulevard. Up the inside, Yves Boltas in the ACI Motorsports gold car, trying to make up a position. So far, so good, dare I say it, Shea Adam. We have had 3/4 of a lap where the whole of the 28 car field has stayed on the black stuff.
It's been very clean racing so far. Very hard from Yves Baltas as he was trying to defend from Elias De La Torre. It opened the door for Sabre Cook, and she has big contact with Elias, who turned down on her. Didn't quite realize that she was there, I would say, from Elias, but both cars managing to continue after the four got briefly airborne. Very exciting opening lap and mostly clean.
Sabre Cook laying some ghosts to rest here. This was where she had the big accident that curtailed her season, the end of last year. Boltas side-by-side contact in the green and grey car as he turned in, but that white and grey car was there, right at the apex. Do you know what? I think that's a racing incident. It's under review at the moment, but ultimately, Yves Boltas sitting on the left-hand side of the car might have been unsighted there, and that was somewhat self-penalising for the ACI driver.
It was, and ultimately the way that I'm looking at that, would Sabre have been able to make the corner if Elias De La Torre wasn't there? Answer, yes, I think she would have. I think the natural trajectory of the car would have carried her out to the edge of the tarmac, but not beyond it, so I don't see an issue with that. Alex Sedgwick has a very loose race car as the tail end was getting quite wobbly coming through turn 8. That was a moment for the driver, the number 98. He comes into this race second in the championship and still realistically with a shot at our leader, Luke Hartog, but Luke knows that the winner of Indy has gone on to win the championship every year. Well, one of the winners of Indy. This place has been a beacon as far as the championship is concerned, and he would love nothing more than to leave this place with a pair of wins and an even bigger points gap with the final 2 weekends of the year.
Yeah, as I mentioned, even when this wasn't an IMSA venue, Porsche were racing here with the Sports Car Together Festival for a couple of years, and we had 3 Porsche Carrera Cup North America races. One of those events, one of them being a makeup race for the problem we had at Watkins Glen, if I think back a few years, and we've always had good racing here. In the classes, Efren Castro is still leading in the Pro Am. No, he's not. He's dropped down to 4th, of course, after that accident. My apologies. He's just put the fastest lap in. It's Alan Mendy in 13th in the number 99 car that leads from Moise Arensky and Marco Cironi, then Efren. And in the Am category, we have to look further down the field, or in the Pro Am category rather, for Pedro Torres and Jordan Wallace. They're the top 6. However, it's Chris Belomo in the Masters category who is fastest and leads that in 20th position for Kelly Moss in the Mystery Machine car.
Well, and that's important, John, because there is that bonus point for fastest lap, so we need to keep an eye on the purple times, particularly in that Masters category, because Matt Halcomb, who currently runs 4th, has a sizable points advantage. It's about 39 actually coming into today's race, after the qualifying went the other way. Belomo knows he not only needs to win the race and have some misfortune go the way of Matt Halcomb in the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine, he needs those bonus points desperately.
Cironi sets the fastest lap for Pro-Am category. Luke Hartog by a second. He has been outstanding this year, Shea. We've seen him win from the front. We've seen him when he's had to fight back. He has been able to do it. We've also seen him use his head and take the points that are on offer. That is how you build a championship run. Meantime, the 44 car, Moise Uretsky in third. For Baby Bull Racing, Efren Castro in behind him. In the number 65 machine, Efren running with the black and white car this weekend. And that is the battle for the third step on the podium of Pro-Am.
It is, and the championship lead, because when we came into today's race, Marco Chironi had a 1-point advantage over Moise Uretsky. So when we look at things, all right, Chironi is out in front right now. Uretsky needs to catch back up, but in third is Efren Castro in the points, and he's looking at Moise going, all right, I need to get ahead of you to try and get up into second and then potentially even the lead of the championship. Efren Castro the last 3 years has been in the mix for the Pro-Am Championship every single one of the year, and twice he's come away with the victory at the big season. When you get the big trophy, he knows how to play the points game, and he knows just which cars are worth fighting tooth and nail to get around.
Shea Adam and John Hindhoff with the action for you. 7 minutes almost gone. Now we've got one of the front beard, if you will, the little piece of rubber that goes on at the bottom of the front air dam has come off. That's between turns 7 and 8, I think. Now that's a piece of rubber that shouldn't do too much damage, but what that does is absolutely kills the aerodynamics at the front of the car. It is, in visual terms, relatively unspectacular, but my goodness me, that will burn up the Michelin tyres. By the way, Race Control looked at that incident between Elias de la Torre and Sabra Cook. There's no action. Very definition of a racing incident, I think, there.
Fully agree with that, and Randy Buck.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Randy Buck has seen plenty of this type of racing to know. And sometimes a no call is the right call, and that is absolutely one of them. They've looked at it and decided neither driver was to blame. Across the line then, 2.5 for Hartog. Jimmy Libra in the red, white and blue fronted car. The number 2 in second, the 98 red fronted car. Alex Sedgwick from right in the centre of the UK, just south of Royal Leamington Spa, around about Southern Whip. Now we're trying to work out which car has lost that little rubber accoutrement at the front of the car. Shea Adam has better eyes and younger eyes than me. What do you reckon, Shea?
I'm actually looking at the timing screen, John, to try and figure this out, and I think it might be off the number 23 Kelly Moss Porsche of Jordan Wallace, because his last 2 laps were both in the 1 minute and 30 mark when everybody else was doing 28s and 29s. So for me, Jordan Wallace running as a Pro-Am, he should be below the 1 minute 30 second mark. Maybe it's that car, maybe it's just throwing the handling off that tiny little bit.
New good times coming in from Alan Metney in second place. Now Marco Chironi having fought his way to the front of the Pro-Am. Moise Uretsky in third puts his fastest lap in. They're separated by 1.5 in that battle for Pro-Am. Warning coming through for track limits for Michael McCann in one of the Kelly Moss white and green cars. The number 8 is in 8th position overall and in Pro. Track limits here have to be watched because we've got quite flat curbs.
Doesn't look like there's any damage to Jordan Wallace's car, so maybe it was just a bogey lap for him that threw him off. I'll continue to look at the timing and see if there's anything else that flares up as being strange. But meanwhile, when you need a little bit of action, just look back into the Masters class, and Richard Edge is now leading the way in that one. So Marco Chironi starting in the back of the field, leading in the Pro-Am, and Richard Edge, who started quite a bit further back outside the top 3, is now leading the way for Masters. New
fastest lap in Masters for Chris Palomo. second place behind Richard Edge, who's taken over the lead in Marston. So Chris Palomo's had a bit of a mare, actually. He's dropped 3 or 4 places, and a couple of the Pro-Am, in fact 3 of the Pro-Am cars have gone through, but he's responding. He's now a second away from the lead. Scott Blind in third, Todd Parriott in fourth, and Matt Holken in fifth now, so he's lost a position as well. John Getz in sixth position. Javier Ripoll, excuse me, in the Memento FMS Motorsport car. The only one of the 3 cars we were expecting that's made the race is the Pro-Am driver, another 9/10 back. He runs in 8th in Pro-Am, 28th overall. Still half an hour racing to go in the first competition of the weekend, live in sound and vision. Porsche Carrera Cup North America, TireRack.com, battle on the bricks. Another race to come tomorrow. And Luke Hartog with a handy lead in the points. I'm not going to say stranglehold at this stage of the season, Shea, but he has the advantage. He's the man to beat at the moment.
Yeah, he has earned that, but it's been a very competitive season. It's been the first time where we've actually had multiple different race winners, more than 5 race winners across the season. But it has been only Luke Hartog who has won multiple races for himself. 4 wins this year. It's been a really dominant performance from Luke, where he's been always there or thereabouts, but 208 points ahead of Alex Sedgwick, driver of the number 98. That's the red and black and white Porsche from JDX with their connection to PT Autosport. For Luke Hartog, he's got now nearly 60 points of an advantage, and with 3 racing weekends still to go, because remember, we haven't culminated a race yet this weekend, so that's 6 races. There are point swings that are possible, and with so many cars in the class, it's not guaranteed that you are going to leave a race weekend with, well, points. You need to be consistent. You need to be at the front, and the bonus points, John. I harp on about bonus points in everything that we cover. They do make a big difference.
So still the best battle in the top 10 is the battle for second, third and fourth. Barely a second between Jimmy Liebler in the red, white and blue car, Alex Sedgwick in the red, white and black car, and the gold and black of Ryan Yardley. ACI, JDX, Top Racing, 3 big teams in this championship with real history, but they're chasing down one of the most successful teams in this championship history. Kelly Moss Racing, 2.3 seconds up the road. I hope that the proprietors of Kelly Moss had a nice European break a few weeks ago. Saw some fantastic pictures of them in Rome.
Do you know what that was for, John? It was actually for the wedding of a former Kelly Moss driver and series champion in the GT3 Cup, Colin Thompson. We now get a good look at the Pro-Am battle as that's coming back together nicely. Alan Metney had lit the afterburners, and the iFly car is indeed flying. Marco Cironi now has a lot of company right behind him, and again, championship lead going the way of Cironi. He's not fighting Metney at this stage of the season. He can afford to let Metney through and take the win, but Marco doesn't work that way. Marco likes to win races. He just needs to be smart, because the pink car that is behind Alan Metney, as Metney pulls out to try and make a move going into turn 1, the pink car is for the championship lead.
99 then down the inside. That's Alan Metney in the GT Silver car. Behind him, Marco Cironi. So that, as Shea says, is a pass for the Pro-Am lead. Then Aretsky, Baby Bull Racing. Efren Castro hasn't lost touch with him. In fact, he's put his fastest lap in, and he's gained a few tenths. Not quite in that picture for first, second and third. But he's trying to catch them up in the number 65 car, excuse me. Oh, here's the pass for third position. That's a lovely manoeuvre towards the end of the lap by the Ryan Yardley driven number 78 Top Racing Performance. Alex Sedgwick will not be happy with that.
No, he won't.
This circuit.
And especially given the way that Ryan Yardley has been driving this year, John. He got his first win at Watkins Glen, let's not forget. He's had 5 podiums total, and the last race weekend, he finished 4th twice. So Ryan Yardley has tasted the proverbial champagne, knows what it's like to be on the podium, and said to Alex Sedgwick, "Excuse me coming through, I would like to be up there in Indianapolis."
This is the racetrack where Alex Sedgwick came to my attention. He was putting his toe in the water in one of those Porsche Sports Car Together festivals and absolutely played a blinder in those races. And that he managed to parlay with PT Autosport. They're trying to give people who perhaps wouldn't get an opportunity to go motor racing, not just behind the wheel, but also in other areas of the sport, to become involved and teamed up with JDX. Another one of the big names in this championship down through the years. Harrison Bricks and Jeremy Dale's team, of course. This little battle for second, third and fourth has just allowed Luke Hartog to stretch his lead almost 3 seconds now. He's just eking it out. It's a couple of tenths here, a tenth there. Jimmy Libre has pulled out a second now. In fact, the big battle is for fourth on down, where Michael Cooper is fifth on down, should I say. Michael Cooper has been caught by Dan Clark in the green-fronted Era car. Leader Luke Hartog, untroubled by these battles behind him, Shea.
Yeah, Luke Hartog has no idea that there's a race going on behind him, and really, job well done so far by Jimmy Libre as well, a young man who's really come into his own in the last couple of years. He started in the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America 2022. He was the champion and also the Dominican Republic Driver of the Year that year as well. Last year coming into the series, had some struggles, finished 8th in the championship points, but it was at Road America in race number 1 where things finally clicked for Jimmy Libre and he made it onto the podium. Now he's running in second. He kept Luke Hartog so honest on that start. I was really impressed by the finesse that we saw out of him, and if he does make it up to second today, he could become our next potential first-time race winner. Also adding into that category for this season would be Dan Clark and Michael Cooper, 2 other drivers who were very deserving of that first win as well.
Coming down to halfway through this session, we're a couple of minutes away from this. This is a 40-minute race. Dan Clark looks to the right-hand side of the pink-fronted number 88 in 5th position. The Baby Bull Racing is ahead of the green and highlight the yellow of Era Motorsport. JDX Racing sitting in behind. Era taking over the running of Dan Clark's car, as well as Sabra Cook as well, who's running in 12th position. Second position, heating up very nicely indeed. .44 is the Moisey Aretsky driven machine. Marco Cironi sitting just behind him, so that's a positional change there. Aretsky's gone through ahead of them, the darker colour car. Excuse me, let me get that right. That's Elias de la Torre in the 4 car. He's not in that class battle. So Moisey and Marco still battling for second and third. The dark coloured 84 with the green rear wing. Moisey in the Kelly Moss Racing number 44. I wonder if he's being distracted by that number 4 car, which is not in the same class. See, it's got a different stripe underneath the number, underneath the name on the windscreen.
Yeah, but part of the struggle he's got for Elias De La Torre is that all the cars are identical, and the only thing distinguishing the drivers in the different categories are the ages. 45 and under goes in the Pro category, 45 to 55 goes in the Pro-Am class, and then 55 and older are the Masters. Those are the guys who have the most life experience, the best vintage is how we like to put it normally. And as that was, it was a good, clean pass executed for Elias De La Torre. Now he'll set his sights forward on trying to get around Marco Cironi and then eventually catching up to Alan Metney. But John, you and I have been watching Alan Metney race for a very long time. He does not know in which class he races. He's been on the overall podium before. Yeah. He is very, very quick and will have his elbows out.
Yeah, absolutely right. A little bit of something. That is a little bit of a problem on the front of Chris Belomo's Kelly Moss racing car. The left front, there's been a wee bit of contact between that car and Scott Blind and the Ruckus racing machine, the number 45, the bright yellow car. Now that's a little bit awkward between those two. They know each other well, and that's left damage on that little frontal aero part that we talked about being on the track earlier on, which, by the way, our marshals cleared them very, very quickly indeed over at turn 7 and 8.
I don't really like that leaning on each other, John, simply because of the championship. Scott Blind, who is super fast out there on the racetrack in that number 45, just set the overall fastest second sector for any of the Masters contenders. He's last in the Masters points as far as the guys who are running in full season, whereas Chris Belomo is fighting for the full season championship. He's second in points and trying to catch back up to Matt Halcomb. Now, Halcomb is 5th on the racetrack. Belomo with the contact is now down to 3rd, so that's not enough of an advantage to go the way of Belomo, but it's just a little bit too much contact for this stage of the championship when they're not both involved in the season-long battle.
It's all about having a battle somewhere on the track, though. They're enjoying themselves, and that is one of the things that I love about this racing. Very seldom you have a lonely race, unless your name is Luke Hartog at the front of the field, who has disappeared up the road. Pulled out now to 3.5 seconds here.
Luke Hartog doing what Luke Hartog does best, running away from the competition. If you give him a sniff of clean air, he will be gone. And this young man, who is so impressive, first contacted Kelly Moss because he realized that racing in North America, it's a really good platform. It's a really good stage to try and build a career, particularly if you want to be in the attention of a manufacturer. And Luke Hartog picked up on that. He ran Super Cup last year as well as Carrera Cup Deutschland, which are the two big Porsche championships, and realized now I need to prove myself in a different ground. Now, we did just have a close call a moment ago, and it was Elias De La Torre trying to make his way around Marco Cironi. Marco turning into the apex at turn 1, realizing that Elias was there. Elias making the exact same pass on 2 different cars, just several laps apart, because he did the same thing with Moisey a few laps ago. The pass was ultimately made. It did cost Cironi a little bit of ground, and now Uretsky is closing in on him, but Elias is clearly trying to make his way further up the field and through this Pro-Am class. Back to Luke Hartog, though, he chose Kelly Moss. He realized that if I'm going to race in North America, I need to be smart about this. I need to give my sponsors the best value for their money because they have put the faith in me to go in and do one thing, which is win the championship. So he reached out to Victoria Thomas and Andy Kilcoyne, and he picked them and said, guys, can we please work together? Can we make this happen? And magic has been happening ever since.
Got a bit of drama in the Masters class where Richard Edge for ACI Motorsport, the number 18 car, has got half a second on Scott Blind and about another 7/10 on Chris Belomo, but Richard Edge is on his final warning for track limits at turn number 6. That's the exit of the chicane onto Ullman Boulevard, that middle straight, if you will, the infield straight, that blue and silver car. is walking a knife edge now. Comes through turns 2 and 3. Let's see if he's had the word from his team here. Now through turn 4. Big slide, losing the back end of that car. He's working the Michelins very hard indeed. Does he go all the way to the edge of the track? Yes, he does, but I think he stayed on the black, white and blue curbs. I think that one was okay, but look, he's under pressure from Scott Blind in the bright yellow number 45, and right there is the third place Kelly Moss, Chris Palomo. Then it's about 2.5 seconds back to Todd Parriott in the number 13 Kelly Moss car. So that is drama, and that is absolutely now for Richard in that blue and GT silver car. He has to be millimetre perfect, inch perfect. He cannot afford to go 4 wheels off anywhere on the circuit. Ahead of him, by the way, it's a great battle going on with Jeff Mosing in the rhubarb and custard number 56, Jordan Wallace in the 23, Kelly Moscar and Pedro Torres, they're 5th, 6th and 7th. They're all battling for position as well. But the 1st, 2nd and 3rd, the second trio coming down into turn 1 now, is the battle for the Masters lead. And we've got 14 minutes on the nosy to go in the first race of 2 of the Porsche Carrera Cup North America at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm John Hindhaugh, this is Shea Adam.
Scott Blind is licking his lips right now with a view at a potential win. He's had a lot of time on track today, also running in the Michelin Pilot Challenge, so he knows the circuit very well, perhaps better than his competitors do right now because of all the time he has had behind the wheel. He's clearly using that to his advantage. And Scott Blind, who's been in the series now for 4 race weekends this year, best finish of 2nd. That was his only visit to the podium, but he is a guy who is used to setting fast laps. He's done that twice this year. He is looking at a potential first win, and it makes the pass that he put on Chris Palomo even more important early on.
You can't take your eyes off this at all. I feel like we've rather forgotten about the driver who, in Porsche Carrera Cup North America terms, is dominating this race. He's still within sight of Jimmy Lieber and Ryan Yardley in 2nd and 3rd, but Luke Hartog looks like he's on a Friday afternoon drive out in the country somewhere. Of course, you wouldn't drive at these speeds out in the country. The 2nd and 3rd positions on the podium look to be going the way of Jimmy Lieber and Ryan Yardley, but not sure in which order. Alex Sedgwick has dropped back some 3 seconds now. I have a suspicion that with the track temperature at 113 Fahrenheit or 45 Celsius, getting the starting pressures right on the Michelin tyres, it was very overcast this morning and the track temperature was down to 96, 97, well down in the mid to high 30s Celsius when we had the earlier sessions. But since then, the sun has been out pretty consistently. We had a little few spots of rain, to be honest, when we had the WeatherTech Sports Car Championships cars on the track, all 56 of them, so there's plenty of rubber being laid down. And I just wonder, Shea Adam, whether 1 or 2 of the teams have got their starting pressures just a little bit wrong, and they are playing they've been playing with fire and maybe paying their price now. Back at the Masters, it is still Richard Edge leading out, and further up the field, that battle right ahead of them for 6th, 7th and 8th, 5th, 6th and 7th rather, in the Pro-Am. But the Masters battle is beginning to heat up, and Scott Blind goes to the right hand side. He got a good run out of turn number 14 and heads to the pit wall. He's being covered off by Richard Edge in the blue and silver car. There's a battle ahead as well, but let's keep our eyes on the Masters. That's a lovely move down the inside, absolute quality, and almost following through Chris Palomo in the number 68, the sort of purpley pink and silver car. That was quality, absolute quality, but he couldn't hold on to it, and back through into the lead for Richard Edge in the number 18. Lovely exchange there, Shea.
Oh, beautiful defense. Was not dirty, was not reactive. It was exactly as it needed to be. And it was exactly what the IMSA race director, Bo Barfield, preaches in so many of his driver meetings. Racing Room asked for and given. And that's the level of respect that we have just seen from these competitors. Chapeau to them all. Although this battle is far from done with 10 minutes remaining, it is still all to play for. At Chris Palomo, third on our screen, third on the timing charts, second in the championship. Chris Palomo needs to go to the front because he needs to close the gap to our championship leader, who is Matt Halcomb, currently running in the 5th position. This could be a phenomenal day for the driver of the pink and silver Porsche. He just has to figure out how to get around the 2 cars ahead of him first.
The best laps are literally split by 10s here across all of the different classes. So although Matt Halcomb isn't having a banner day for him in 5th position, he is not exactly tooling around at the back. He's doing a great job. Madeline Stewart's just put her fastest lap in. She was at Spa 2 weekends ago as well, driving one of the MRS GT cars. They had to retire with a left rear wheel, parted company with the car in the first half of the race, but she had a great time, as did her teammates. And great to see such a good representation from Porsche Carrera Cup North America, and actually some Porsche Sprint Cup Challenge drivers as well in that inaugural event. It was a really good success, really impressive, and I suspect that once we get a date for that next year, we'll see even more than the 30 or so cars we had this year. Now, back down at the lead of the Masters category. Once again, Scott Blind is right there and trying to go through shit.
There's actually just been some breaking news, John, because at the bottom of the timing screen, we have a penalty for multiple track limit violation, 10-second post-race, Richard Edge. So that car, effectively, in the lead of the Masters class, the blue and yellow and silver car, does not exist. Now, somebody needs to get on the phone and tell Scott Blind in second, because he is the effective leader. He doesn't need to pass the car ahead of him on track, but he's competitive. So that'll be the big challenge for Scott Blind.
That is gonna drop Richard Edge behind John Getz right at the back of Masters. I said he was walking a fine line. Well, he's crossed over it, and this was down at track at turn 6, which is where they've just come through. Richard Edge blew through his warnings with what, 15, 18 minutes still on the clock, and that is going to cost him a victory here. Yeah, he got that some 15 minutes ago, so he still had almost half the race to go when he was on his final warning. That's akin to a soccer player who plays in defence getting a yellow card sort of 10 or 15 minutes into the first half of a 90-minute game, and he's been penalised. That, I know that seems harsh, but they've been watching very carefully, and all the drivers have been told that they must respect the track limits, particularly on the parts of the circuit where they can gain an advantage, and the exit of turn 6 is one of them. So that battle is largely nullified now. Also, of course, this moves Chris Palomo into second. However, it also moves Matt Halcomb, who's gone ahead of Todd Parriott, by the way. That'll move him onto the podium, our championship leader.
Yep, it will, but it's still important for Chris Palomo's championship aspirations that he finish ahead of Matt Halcomb. So it will help close the gap, but it will only be a very small points gap change. This is the battle for second and third once again. That's tightened up, and Jimmy Lieber holding on to P2 from Ryan Yardley. But man, they're close together, John.
Javier Ripoll stayed well out of the way in the number 91 car. That was heads up driving as they were coming past him down the front straight. Now heading through turns 3, 4. Here's the spot on the track that they're at now. Turn 6 is where it's so easy to go over those curbs and put all 4 Michelins on the wrong side of them. Libra stays right in the middle of Ulman Boulevard and now just eases gently to the right-hand side of the track. I think he's all right. He's not moving around in response to the gold and black car of Ryan Yardley behind him in the Top Racing TCS sponsored machine. But it does look to me as though Ryan has a better car underneath him with 5 minutes to go. He might have just saved some performance from his Michelin tyres. Perhaps a tiny little advantage. He seems to be able to place that number 78 TCS car just a little more tightly and sharpen off the corners if he needs to, square them off, get on the power a bit earlier. Not sure he's close enough as they come down the front straight again, heading towards the right-hander and the chicane at turn 1 and 2. Now, he wasn't in a position there. 5 seconds the gap between the battle for second and Luke Hartog. Still Alan Metney leading in Pro-Am, and he's up to 13th position now with a car behind him, Elias De La Torre. Marco Cironi and Efren Castro still having a scrap for second and third, with Wojciechowski 4 seconds further back in Pro-Am. That's your top 4. In Masters, Richard H with that 10-second penalty will lose that first spot. So Scott Blind effectively leads it from Chris Belomo, Matt Holcomb, Todd Parriott, John Getz. And at the moment, Richard Edge will drop down to 6th position. Seeing some more penalties coming in. Yves Boltas has got a warning, and also the number 68 car of Chris Belomo in 3rd in the Masters. So there's still potential drama here, and still, Shea Adam, we need to find out who's going to be on the second step of the box.
Well, yeah, we do, and also I was getting ready to award the points for the fastest lap, but a shout out to Yokohama and the durability of these tires. Our lap times have not dissipated at all. Luke Hartog's fast lap was a 27.5. His last lap, well, prior to the one he just completed, was a 27.9. He's just on a 27.8. So yes, the cars have gotten lighter because the fuel loads have been wearing down, but the tire life has been phenomenal through the heat of this day. So a big round of applause to Yokohama.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Those people who look after their Yokohamas the best will get the performance benefit at the end. 40 minutes. The car is heavy and you've got great grip at the beginning, but you have to be really careful that you don't burn them up early on. And it's one of the real skills of holding on to performance. Being able to manage tyre life, as Yves said, as Shea said, Yves Boltas and 1 or 2 of the other drivers putting their best laps in late on in the race, just showing the longevity of the Yokohama rubber. With a track temperature which is still at 43 Celsius, that's 110, nearly 110 Fahrenheit. So, Shea Adam, more penalties coming in.
Yeah, we've actually just had a car go around, and that was Matt Halcomb. He's dropped down to 6th in category, but remember, our effective leader is the number 18. The moments that he ran wide at turn 6, it doesn't take much, but race control is looking. Do you have 2 wheels on the racing surface, i.e. the darker stuff? The answer was no for Richard Edge, and the final time they broke the camel's back, well, it was just a straw, but it was enough as Ryan Yardley dives down the inside on Jimmy Lieber. Decisive move to take away the 2nd position on the podium, and now he's checking out. That was very early on in the lap too. He had to have set that up coming down the straight.
Yeah, that was beautiful stuff. It's the white line is the edge of the track, and you must have some part of a Yokohama tyre on or inside that white line. And as Shea mentioned, that turn 6 area is a favourite part for people to just push the envelope. And Ryan Yardley has cleared away as we're coming down to a white flag now for the leader. I just wonder if Jimmy Lieber has overheated his Yokohama tyres, because that sector was well off, and Michael McCann's just done his fastest first sector as the leader goes through. Luke Hartog, and what a huge gap now. So clearly there's been some battling going on.
Jimmy's
and
in
Jimmy
the pits.
Lieber is pitted. I think he may have got a problem. Is that an issue with the car? He has air in all of his Yokohamas as far as I can see. Lieber into the pits. He's had to pull out a second. Ryan Yardley did make the overtake, but it looked a bit too easy, as Shea rightly said, at the early part of the lap. So Alex Sedgwick will come up into third and on the podium for JDX Racing, but he's fighting Michael Cooper for Baby Bull Racing. They're just 0.3 of a second behind, and also Yves Boltas into the pits for Ace. So both of the ACI cars have come into the pit, Shea.
Oh, what a heartbreak for both of these cars, particularly Jimmy Lieber, who was looking on hand to get another podium.
And a drive-through for Todd Parriott. Incident responsibility on Matt Holcomb. That's why Matt had dropped back. There'd been contact between those two battling for 4th and 5th in the Masters category. Now, this might help Richard Edge, of course, because it's put a gap into him. Checkered flag for Luke Hartog. He'll win overall. For Kelly Moss, it's a reasonable victory. And he has got 8 seconds on the rest of the field. Ryan Yardley confirmed in second with 4.5 seconds back to Alex Sedgwick. I'm trying to do a bit of quick arithmetic for Richard Edge and to see how far down Matt Holcomb and Todd Parriott has pitted. So Matt Holcomb comes through at... That's interesting. So I need to see where Richard Edge finishes. I think Matt Holcomb's been lapped. I think Richard Edge is only going to drop down to 4th place, Shea, with that 10 seconds.
Oh, that would be huge for him. I'm waiting to see when we do come across the line. That will determine everything. But Scott Blind, very good drive, very patient. And even though we saw that aggressive move early on and Chris Palomo, the two guys leaning on each other, that was ultimately the pass for the win. So a really fine effort by Scott Blind to take what will be his first ever race win in Carrera Cup North America in the Masters class.
And as he comes to the line, Richard Edge actually backed off to allow Scott Blind to take the checkered flag. That was very gentlemanly, but I think he knew that he couldn't be any worse than 4th, and that is confirmed. The 10-second penalty puts him down to 4th, but even so, that was really nice. That'll be a nice picture for Scott Blind. He came across the line ahead of the field. Alan Metney, by the way, takes the top step of the podium for Kelly Moss in Pro-Am from Efren Castro, and Moise Oreski for Kelly Moss and Baby Bull Racing. So Kelly Moss with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 podium finishes across the 3 classes. And here's the unofficial results for race 1 of Porsche Carrera Cup North America, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Luke Hartog by 8.5 seconds from Ryan Yardley in second. Alex Sedgwick in third after a late race drama that saw Jimmy Lieber second place qualifier and standing in second at the time pulled in to the pit lane. Michael Cooper, Zach Venier, Dan Clark dropped back to 6th at the end. A few people struggling, I think, with performance at the end, from Colin Kaminsky, Michael McCann in 8th, Sabra Cook absolutely brilliantly driving up into 9th position, and Jake Pedersen makes up the top 10. Alan Metney wins in the green numbered class. That's the Pro-Am ahead of Efren Castro and Moise Oreski, 11th, 13th and 14th, those drivers. Congratulations to Madeleine Stewart in 15th, by the way, in the Pro class. And Scott Blind in 20th position takes the AM category after a race-long battle with Chris Palomo and Richard Edge. Chris is in second. John Getz eventually pulls up the third, with Richard Edge getting pushed down into fourth in the class of Masters because of his 10-second penalty for track limits. Series championship leader in that category, Matt Holcomb, with an incident later on, down in 27th, and will only pick up 5th place points in his class. Stanislav Minsky and Angel Benitez not starting the race. A quick bit of arithmetic from Shea Adam tells us this about where we stand in the championship.
Unofficially, Luke Hartog's lead has grown. He now has 234 points ahead of Alex Sedgwick, still in second on 166, and 11 points further back is 155 for Ryan Yardley, with Zach Venier still in fourth on 142. In the Pro-Am class, we have a change at the head. It is Moise Uretsky leading the way, 172 points ahead of Marco Cironi on 167. 10 points further back now from that battle is Efren Castro, but between them is Alan Metney moving up into the third position on 159. In the Masters class, it is still Matt Halcomb leading the way on 224, but the lead has shrunk significantly. Chris Palomo in second on 193, and after today's race, it's John Getz in fourth, but Scott Blind moving all the way up from P5 to P3.
Great race for Scott Blind and Ruckus Racing. That sets him up nicely for the championship. It's another win for Luke Hartog and Kelly Moss Racing. His championship lead is extended. We'll do it again tomorrow. Great action, great drama right the way through this first race of two for Porsche Carrera Cup North America with Yokohama. And how about this? 9 podium positions, 5 of them taken by Kelly Moss Racing. I'm John Hindhaugh for Shea Adam and the team. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.